Hi everybody, Spider-Kel back once again for another Marvel Chess Collection review, looking at number 3 in the line, Wolverine. A character that is instantly recognisable, well liked, very, very popular, and I think that's pretty much shown through the comics, through the cartoon in the 90s, through current day cartoons as well, where he still pops up, and also of course through all the movies, played by the fantastic Hugh Jackman, where we have the X-Men, X-Men 2, X-Men 3, X-Men Origins, the Wolverine, X-Men First Class, and I believe he's coming through in the next one. I could be wrong about that. I honestly, off the top of my head, I'm not entirely sure, but I think he's coming through in the next X-Men First Class movie. Again, I'll have to double check on that, but I'm pretty sure he is. And yeah, as I said, very, very popular character. And that pretty much shows why he was the centre of a lot of the X-Men movies. I mean, the first one, second one, third one, he's always on the front cover of the DVD or the posters. And then, of course, there was 2 extra movies from there where Wolverine is the centre character. I mean, I will say as well, I've not seen The Wolverine yet. I do intend to see it very soon. But from what I've heard, it's a pretty good movie, so I look forward to seeing that. And X-Men Origins, not the best. What the hell did they do to Deadpool? Oh, what did they do to him? But anyway, and X-Men 3, yeah, again, not a great movie, but just a lot of fun. For me, Wolverine is a really cool character, really like him, and there's a lot of comics that I've read where he's in it that I've really enjoyed the character. 3 spring to mind, the first one obviously being the Wolverine Origins book, that although I kind of agree with a lot of people that said they shouldn't have made it, I liked the idea of Wolverine being steeped in mystery and we never know quite what happened, and he keeps having flashbacks, but are they real flashbacks or are they induced, are they dreams or what happened? No one ever really knew what happened to him until that book came out and kind of said, right, this is what happened. And it kind of took some of that mystery away, and it kind of took some of that fun away of trying to decide how it actually happened. And yeah, although I really enjoyed that comic, I would have been just as happy if they'd never made it, which is kind of a weird Schrodinger's cat kind of scenario. But yeah, it's a great book. If they had to make it, I'm glad they made it as good as that. But also, of course, Weapon X, fantastic comic, which shows how he got his adamantium bones and claws. And there's a book that I've read recently that I cannot for the life of me remember what it's called, and it's bugging me. But it's based in the future where Logan no longer goes by the name Wolverine. He hasn't unsheathed his claws in many, many years. He's raised a family. He's a peaceful man, very quiet, serene. And it's in a world where villains have taken over. They've won and wiped out a lot of the heroes. And Wolverine was a big part of that, and which is why he doesn't unsheath his claws. And just basically a story about how he has to go and do a job for the Hulk family alongside a blind Hawkeye. And just a beautifully written, well-drawn comic that I very much enjoyed. A very, very good comic, which I very much enjoyed. But on top of all that, I also have to say that he's not one of my favourite characters. He's not one of he's definitely not one of my favourite X-Men. And as for a Marvel character, he's not one of my favourites. That's not to say that I don't like him, and I know why they made Wolverine a central character in all the X-Men's and the Origins and the Wolverine and things like that. He's a popular character, people like him. It's easy to see why. The guy has adamantium claws, he can slice and dice. He's the best there is at what he does, but what he does ain't very nice. I get it, he's a great character and I love the movies that he's in. He's just not my favourite, and I wouldn't be opposed to an X-Men movie being announced that didn't have Wolverine in it. And that's pretty much all I can say on it. I like the guy, I like the movies, he's not my favourite, so but anyway, but still very excited for this piece, and when it came along I was very, very excited and very pleased with what they did with it. So we'll move on to that next, but what we'll do first of all, as always, we'll look at the centerpiece. And we get this awesome picture of Wolverine fighting off against Hulk. I think one of the the greatest rivalries that you get. And I think in a lot of different comics, cartoons, modern, past, everything, you've always got this whole Wolverine versus Hulk, and they just like to square off against each other. And a really good picture here to depict that. And yeah, just really, really cool. I do like that. So anyway, we'll move away from the comic and we will take a look at the figurine and see how cool that actually is. And here we have the figurine itself, the chess piece itself. And I have to say, I absolutely love this. Really, really like this. It captures the Wolverine character just so well. And the way it's built and the way he's kind of like quite, you can tell he's on this, he's quite short, quite stocky, quite well built. But that's always how Wolverine has been. And really pleased from having the Iron Man, which suit is that kind of debate from the last video, that we've got a Wolverine character in a costume where you can say, yep, that is Wolverine. That is definitely the right costume to have picked. And yeah, it's yellow spandex as they refer to in the first X-Men movie, but come on, this is Wolverine. This is what we all know of him as. You have his iconic mask, which has these the black cowls on the side, which kind of give a pretty cool, menacing sort of look. Wide eyes and a really, really nice sculpt there on the face, especially with the mouth. The sinister kind of scowling, ain't gonna take no crap from nobody kind of look. And looks really cool. And through to the back there as well, we have a really nice cowl which goes around. On the top we have the iconic yellow costume with the blue side in here, which is very nicely done. I love this blue metallic paint that they've used for this, and the bright yellow. Fantastic detailing for his well-built physique, his abs there and his chest and the arms as well. Very nice detail and shade and colour on there. We come around to the back as well, and through there you can see how we have the yellow kind of design coming through the side that Wolverine has. The yellow and the blue mirrored through to this side, and again the arm beautifully done. And we'll move further down where you can then see that he has his X-Men belt on and his blue gloves, which also have the iconic adamantium claws. It wouldn't have been Wolverine if he didn't have at least one of these unsheathed. And I do really, really like these. I like how they are a nice thick sort of design rather than thin blades, just for the fact that I would hate the idea of going to move this piece and catching them and snapping them sort of thing. I love the detail on his hands where he's obviously made the fist to unsheath his claws. The one thing a lot of people have talked about, and I know a lot of people are kind of disputing and questioning, is the positioning of these, why they're on top of his hand rather than here, and it's almost like they have literally been glued onto the top of his hand. It doesn't bother me as much, because what I think they possibly have gone for this, rather than the movie and other versions where it comes out of his knuckles, so they would have been coming from down here, which again I think personally would have made it quite a delicate piece. I think really what they might have gone for, this is just in my mind, this is just what I think, is that they've gone for kind of like the cartoon or the comic version where he had those 3 nubs on the top of his knuckles, and that's where the blades came out of. And I think that's why the top of these are being painted blue. It does look big, cumbersome, it doesn't look as well streamlined as the cartoon or the comics would have it, but overall that does not bother me too much, because really you never, I mean, I've got this tilted, just to zoom out, I've got this tilted at this sort of angle, and you're never really going to be looking at these from this angle. You're either going to have them there like that, where it looks fine, that looks fine, and that looks fine really, and so it doesn't really bother me as much. I can see where people are coming from, and yes, I do agree with them in that, but for me that doesn't bother me too much. Really good gloves on the other hand, and I like how we only have one set of claws unsheathed and his other one almost like he's ready to do that. Some nice yellow detail on the blue, and again the metallic blue mirrored through their entire costume. We have some really nice detailing across here on his crotch, where the trousers are crinkled up and detailed around there into his inner thigh. And yeah, we have like these seams going right down his leg as well, which just look really, really good. Just really for this, subtle details that just add to the piece and give it that little bit more dimension and realism and flow. And I do like these boots. And really, the blue with the black running through and the yellow with the black buckles on it as well. Just very nicely done. As you'll probably seen throughout, you've got paint smudges into each part, but nothing quite as bad as you get in a lot of pieces, so that's why I haven't even mentioned them. We have as well the knight, and again we have the Captain America shield symbol, and on the bottom Wolverine number 3. So really that's all we can say about this. It's Wolverine. What more can you say? We have a Wolverine in the classic yellow and blue costume, none of the black or none of the different variations, or even the brown costume, which yeah is more retro look, I suppose. But this is the costume that people are going to recognise him in. This is the one that stands out, and he's been in a lot more than any of the others, I would say. And yeah, I'm glad that they chose this one, because this just screams Wolverine, and it brings that splash of colour out as well, which will look very nicely on the back of the board. And yeah, just overall, the claws don't bother me. As I say, a lot of people that I've seen reviews or read comments about have said about these claws and how they look weird on the top of his knuckles. Yeah, I get where they're coming from, but for me, it doesn't bother me as much. Something that I mentioned in a previous review as well about, and I'll just move him off to the side and bring Spidey back in, just to kind of show what I was meaning about them mirroring each other. It's difficult to see on this one because it's not as obvious, but you have Spider-Man with his arm down and that arm raised and in fists, and Wolverine kind of mirroring that same pose. Like I say, this one's not the best set to describe that on. There is two characters which I'm looking at right now that show off this this point a lot better than these two guys do, but you do have kind of like Spider-Man with his arm down and that, and this is kind of what I mean about each piece that's the same has a similar kind of pose. And something else about this as well, if I just kind of line these up as well, that you can see Spider-Man is much taller than Wolverine, which is really cool. Spider-Man's always been quite tall and thin, but still very strong, whereas Wolverine is short, stocky, well built and strong. So again, that's mirrored very nicely in the fact that Wolverine is quite a small piece and quite short. So we'll just send Spider-Man off. So yeah, overall Wolverine, fantastic piece, really pleased with this. Nothing on this really that I would change. I like the colour design they've gone for, I like the pose, I like a lot of things about it. And as I've said, and as I'll say one more time, the claws for me don't bother me. I just like the fact that they've got one set unsheathed, and to be honest, that's the best way I personally can see them doing it, and not having them so fragile that every time you go to come across here and you catch them to move the piece when you're playing with them, that you're going to feel like you're going to break it. So yeah, overall fantastic piece, very pleased with this one, and well worth picking up. So that's pretty much me. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the review. Take care everyone. I shall see you very soon for the next one, but until then,